We are starting week 28 of the year 2026, and in this weekly outlook video, we're going to look at dollar, USDCHF, GBPUSD, Euro, Gold, and BTCUSD. And you will realize actually my confidence level for all these pairs this week is on the medium side and not really high or low. And we're going to look at it shortly. So you can just open a sample so you see how I journal. So this is the DXY, and you can see I do a very thorough descriptive journal of my weekly outlook. And then at the end of the week, I'm also going to review what price did. So if you want a replica of this Notion trading template, I'll leave a link in the description box below. So let's look at DXY. So DXY is the dollar index. Because you're starting a new month, we are going to start our analysis from the monthly time frame. And you can see the month of June, this is how we closed. Price left behind an order block. So our draw of liquidity is still this monthly fair value gap here. So for price to get to this monthly fair value gap, you can see price left behind this order block. Two things are likely to happen. Either we get a deeper retracement for price to tag this monthly order block, then we get a bullish move, or price fails to give us that deeper retracement to this monthly order block, leaving behind a fair value gap. But either way, we have to mark that because that is the PDRE that we have on the monthly time frame. So let's look at the weekly time frame. Remember last week we wanted to see price tag this and then we continue going higher. And so far you can see last week that's what happened. So price has tagged this weekly fair value gap. And as much as price has tagged this weekly fair value gap, you can see we also have a weekly order block here and the monthly order block below it. So if this market continues going lower, then our next draw of liquidity is this weekly order block or this monthly order block. So we have our eyes on this too, but as of now, this is where price is. So either this is going to be used to push price higher, or we get that deeper retracement before we continue bullish. So before we proceed, guys, if you want to learn how I'm able to do what I do, SMC, ICT, all the higher time frame to lower time frame analysis, all the way to entries, you can join the 3 weeks trading program that I have that starts 12th July 2026. And you're really going to learn a lot. And once you're done with the 3 weeks of learning, you'll get a 1 month access to my trading group. So far, all the students I've had, they've really left good reviews. A lot of people have learned a lot. And you can see these are some of the reviews. So I'll put a link in the description box below for you to check it out. So let's look at the daily time frame, and you can see we have this fair value gap right here. So two things likely to happen. Either price uses this fair value gap to push price lower, so we get that deeper retracement to this order block here, or even where we have this monthly order block. And you can clearly see we have a fair value gap here. Well, so you can see the fair value gap is in line with the weekly order block. And currently we have this fair value gap here, which has just been tagged by price. If you're going to get bullish momentum, then we will want to see price invert this fair value gap first. Then once this gets inverted, then you expect that the market is going to use it to push price higher. So generally, US dollar, of course, we are bullish, but we're at a point where we are likely to get a deeper retracement, or we fail to get a deeper retracement and price uses this to push price higher. So let's look at USDCHF, and on the monthly time frame, you can clearly see it's almost similar to DXY. We have an order block here, so that is the only PDRE we have. We can get a deeper retracement for price to tag this order block, and then we continue going higher. So our bias generally is bullish for USDCHF. Remember, USDCHF and dollar index are positively correlated, and so far dollar is really bullish, so we are going to still maintain that bias. Now if you look, you can also see, of course, we had this bullish move, a retracement, and now the market has made a new higher high. So far we have this weekly fair value gap here, and you also have this monthly order block here. So it's still the same thing. Either the market uses this weekly fair value gap to push price higher, and we fail to get a deeper retracement to this order block, or we get a retracement to this monthly order block before we see that bullish momentum. So let's look at the daily time frame, and you can clearly see it's similar to dollar index. We have this bearish fair value gap here that has been created by price. So if you're going to see bullish USDCHF, we want to see price invert this, then this will be used to push price higher. That's scenario A. Scenario B, if you're going to get a deeper retracement, then the market is likely to use this bearish fair value gap to push price lower. So let's look at EURUSD. So EURUSD and dollar index are negatively correlated, which means you want to see the opposite. Now, you can see we had all this bullish momentum, a retracement, price tag this monthly fair value gap, got support, then we pushed higher. So the market has made a new higher high. So from the month of March. From actually March, April, May, we have been bearish for Euro USD, and our draw of liquidity is this monthly fair value gap and this monthly order block right here. So of course you can clearly see the market has not gotten to our draw of liquidity. So as of now, as long as the same conditions remain and dollar is still bullish, Euro USD, we are likely to get to this monthly fair value gap. Okay, so far you can see the market has formed a bearish order block. So two things are likely to happen. Either we get a deeper retracement for price to tag this monthly order block, then we see that bearish momentum, or the market fails to retrace to this monthly order block and just uses a weekly level, and we get that bearish momentum. So let's look at the weekly time frame. So you can clearly see the monthly order block is right here, and on the weekly we have a weekly order block here. So if you look at the weekly, you can clearly see on the weekly time frame the market has made a new lower low. This is break of structure, and I told you guys, anytime we get a break of structure, we get a new dealing range. And you can see in this new dealing range that we have, 50% of this range is where we have this monthly order block and also where we have the weekly order block. If you're going to use the range from the highest point to this lowest point, you can see 50% of the range is around here. So let's look at the daily time frame, and it's still the same thing. It's really clear. You can see so far this is the weekly fair value gap, weekly order block, and the monthly order block. And you can see where we have a monthly order block, we actually have a fair value gap still. And so far on the daily time frame, which bullish PDRs do we have? So far you can see we have this order block right here, and there's also this inverted volume imbalance. So those are the only PDRs that we have. If you're going to see that bullish momentum, then we're likely to use this to push price higher, for price to actually give us that deeper retracement, either to this. I would really like to see it actually come to the weekly order block. If it comes to the monthly order block, still well and good. So let's look at GBPUSD. Will not really take a lot of time. We will just do the analysis from the daily time frame. So GBPUSD and EURUSD are positively correlated and negatively correlated with dollar. So that means as long as dollar is bullish, EURUSD is bearish, GBPUSD is bearish. And if you look at GBPUSD, you realize actually GBPUSD has given us a deeper retracement if you compare it with EURUSD. You can see so far for GBPUSD, price has actually gotten to this fair value gap here, and this is the weekly order block. So for more bearish momentum, then we want to see actually GBPUSD price use this to push price lower. And of course, we have this fair value gap here. This will need to be inverted by price. Then once it's inverted by price, you expect that it will be used to push price lower. However, if this supports price for more bullish momentum, then that means GBPUSD price will be coming for liquidities, and this will actually be a more deeper retracement compared to Euro USD. And in that case, that might give us SMT for bearish moves, because I don't expect Euro USD to actually come to these highs here of that dealing range on the daily time frame. So let's look at gold, and we're going to start from the monthly time frame. You can clearly see, of course, gold the whole of 2025 we were really bullish. Then we've had all this bearish momentum. So far you can see on the monthly time frame, we have this monthly fair value gap here. I actually wanted gold to get to this monthly fair value gap before we see a bullish gold, if you're still going to get a bullish momentum. So let's look at the weekly time frame, and you can clearly see, of course, we have a range. The market has made a new lower low the moment you closed below these lows here. So this is a new dealing range that has been formed, and if we look at this dealing range, if you're going to get a retracement, you can see 50% of the range is here. We have this order block here. So I'm watching this order block as a potential that we can get a retracement to it. So let's look at the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, remember last week we had this dealing range and we had identified this daily order block, of course. So if you are going to get a retracement based on the daily range and we continue going lower, you can see prices right now at that daily order block. However, if you're going to get a retracement based on the weekly range, then we expect that there's a high probability that this market may actually retrace to around this region here where we have the weekly order block before we see that bearish momentum. Again, it's up to now USD what it's likely to do. If USD is going to give us the bearish deeper retracement, then expect gold to give us that bullish deeper retracement. So far on this daily time frame, you can see we have this inversion fair value gap here. So this inversion fair value gap, we can use it as our point of interest. If you're going to see a bullish momentum, then the market is likely to use it to push price higher. For bearish moves, then we are likely to invert it. And if that happens, you will also watch dollar. If dollar also inverts that fair value gap, you know what to expect now for gold and all other major pairs. So let's look at BTCUSD on the monthly time frame. You can clearly see we have a bearish order block here. So we are likely to either see that bullish momentum for price to tag this monthly order block, and then we continue going lower, or price can fail to get to this monthly order block. So let's look at the weekly time frame, and you can see it's so clear. We have a new range. The market has made a new lower low. So at this point, this market is a really discount. So if you're going to get a retracement, you can see the monthly order block is right here. And also we have a weekly fair value gap, which of course got tagged a bit of it, but you can see from this point going forward, it's still not yet tagged, and 50% of these ranges actually still where we have this weekly fair value gap. So we can still get a deeper retracement to this weekly fair value gap before we see that bearish momentum. So on the daily time frame, you can clearly see, of course, we had all this bearish momentum for BTCUSD. We got a retracement, and then the market made a new lower low. So of course, we have a BOS here, right here. So right now on the daily time frame, we do have a new dealing range of the daily time frame. However, we cannot really only use the daily time frame dealing range if, especially on the next higher time frame, in this case on the weekly time frame, the market has made a new lower low. So we have a new dealing range. So if you're going to get a deeper retracement to the weekly key levels, then your daily range period raise will really not matter at all. So you can see where we have the weekly fair value gap, we also have a daily fair value gap. So it would really be nice if you can get a retracement for price to tag this weekly fair value gap and also the daily fair value gap, and we see that bearish momentum. So that is all I prepared for this weekly outlook video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.